so there can't possibly be any more.
Just, you know, this, what you've seen is the scientific process.
Yeah.
Because he has gone from, I mean, the discovery, the collection of material, and the observation, the gathering of data, and the posing of many questions about these things, from which he has generated hypotheses. And he's not done yet, because you've got to test, further test, what you proposed, you have tested. But further testing is the rest of it. But I really salute you for doing an original scientific investigation. I think it's intriguing.
Yeah, well, Stu and I were always fascinated by what we were seeing. You know, our goal wasn't just to find things and have them on a shelf. We wanted to know how they lived. So there was a lot of speculation. Steve?
Yes. Do you and Stu still have some of the slabs that you haven't cut up?
Probably. I have some small ones up here. I mean, some of the stuff I gave to
Colin brought
you.
this
See.
up. Talking to Colin about this a year ago. And he was wondering if you guys have any more of the slabs. Because they wanted to see the slab itself, whether it's falling around there or just in the ego on the slab.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some down at the Geiger Center there that way. I've got a few.
Most of them down there that cut up pieces.
Most of them, yeah. That was one of the things that we didn't do maybe correctly. But
Yeah, but there are pieces like that, and the others too. You've got plenty of bigger slabs.
yeah, we have some. Now, I'm not sure. Stu may have some.
Did you cut his up too?
I'm not so sure he did. I'm not sure he took the time to cut
How
them
was he
all out.
doing, by the way? I want to get in touch with him about something. I didn't know what it bothered him not.
Oh, you can. Call him at home. Yeah, call him at home. He's not at the store anymore. So, somebody else?
I took notes. I had a couple questions. You're finding Edrios on the Raphthascena colonies. And you said that's maybe a theory because there were so many of them here in that area. This is what they happened to settle on. Are there reports of anybody else finding them concentrated more on other types of species?
Yes. Well, there are other sites. I think there's a site here in Cincinnati, which I unfortunately don't know where it is, where Edrioasteroids, Cincinnati, and Edrios are found on hard grounds. No Raphthascena.
So it may have been a matter of convenience then.
That's my contention. It's opportunistic. Whatever was some hard substrate that wasn't all muddy, that was good enough. It was kind of a good enough thing.
You're also talking about where they land on the Raphthascena. Is it possible, how would they know, in other words, to say always land on the edge? Maybe it's just a crapshoot. You know, they land wherever, and they're either eaten or not. It just happens to be with the first thing you hit. And stick on something like that. You know, what would be their mechanism to determine, can they tell from modern ones, what they can use in their structure to say, I can identify this as a good place to accept. They don't have eyes. They have some means of detecting a certain type of surface or an edge or something like that.
Yeah,
If that's...
Yeah, I'm sure there is some of that. I do think they land and stick where they stick. They may have some limited mobility. Maybe it's chemical sensing, maybe water flow sensing or something that they can tell that, oh yeah, this will be okay. And obviously if it's mud, they're probably not going to stay there. But and maybe they have a little bit of mobility.
That brings up the other question here. When Colin was here a couple of years ago, people recall when he took the banana and started talking about radial versus bilateral symmetry, jammed his finger down with the banana and watched the radial symmetry happen. We learned from that one that the Edrioasteroids are not radial in symmetry. They're bilateral because of the way they're designed. You know, if you look at the way the arms are on. Is there a possibility, or have you looked at the orientation of where they're on the edge of the Raphthascena, if they're all positioned the same when they move away from the edge?
I haven't looked at that. I don't think I know what you're saying, but no, I haven't.
Like to know, is there a certain mechanism on there? I mean, you can identify certain parts of the Edrio to say, here's how it's orientated. If you're looking at the theoretical movement on there, is it always in the same direction? Maybe there's something in their structure as to where they start on the edge. Those that stay there versus those that move, the ones that move, maybe they're orientated the same way. So the ones on the edge can't move anymore.
Yeah, we haven't refined it that far. You'd have to like find where you could get the axis between the mouth and the anus and plot that. We didn't, or Jack or I didn't take it that far. It's a good point. Yeah, one you could look at.
To say, well, maybe that's where the other guy couldn't move, for example, he's getting crowded out. He's pointed the wrong way. They're just as luck the way
You
they
get
land.
it spin like a top.
Yeah. Carl?
Colin and I have a paper that was supposed to come out pretty soon, and this was based on slabs, different places from the Silurian in Pennsylvania. There we did do that, try to look at the A-ray, the projection down through the anal pyramid, and it was statistically significant orientation, but it was by no means perfect. I mean, a lot of them did orient the same way relative to the slab, but there were a number that
What were they on?
contrary.
Hard.
Hard ground slabs from the Silurian in Pennsylvania.
And of course, the
They
big
do that on your
Maysville
big
slab
day.
at the museum with Edrios is also hard ground. And now I think is there Edrioasteroids in that
Yeah,
assemblage?
yeah, there's all
Yeah.
three.
Yeah, and there's some other species too,
Mhm.
but they would contribute to your idea that they're not selected because they're on
Yeah.
cemented.
I mean, it looks like it's a hint of a pattern. I guess you could do it with a big Florence slab.
To
Check to see whether the anal pyramid is
Yeah.
oriented in a consistent way relative to the shell margin.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'll tell you if they decided they wanted to grow it that way, wanted to grow it that way, or the ones that were lined up that way just survived that.
right.
Their feeding apparatus seems kind of, maybe radial's not the term, but it's all round, it's not like that's got to face them certain
Yeah.
way. But, do you have another question there?
Yeah, do you ever find the really big ones right up on the edge?
Yeah.
So you do find the big ones everywhere?
Right,
But
yeah. I have a big one here.
preferentially-
more toward the center, and the little ones are preferential. At least
Is it possible if they get too big and they're on the edge, somehow they pop off? Or they grow and they're not attached, because if they grow off the edge, they come off.
Well, I would think that they would do like this Crowder one does, he's kind of bunching up.
yeah.
And the brachypod are growing too. So
Well,
the
yeah.
smaller ones would be towards the edge.
It could be they're
Maybe
grow
the
together,
brachiopods
sure.
grow faster than the.
Yeah, I don't know how fast. I think the Edrios, didn't Colin do something where some of these Edrios we looked at were months old that were maybe 5 millimeters across or something? I'm not sure the brackets, how fast the bracket was even, to tell you the truth, so I don't know.
You had those, you saw the ones where they're hexagonal outline, where they're
Yeah.
back together.
Right, they look
One of his arguments that they didn't move because they grew up against one another, and when they're in the same species, they didn't overgrow, but they'd actually constrict the growth of the ones around them, so they actually had a hexagon shape.
Yeah, I've tried the same paper I was reading.
Spectacular.
Right.
I was going to comment and say another place you could look to test your hypothesis is at the mollusk bed at the Trammell Fossil Park. Because most of the Edrios there, at least I can't say most, but a lot of the Edrios there are on clams. Because it's not a raft-dominated horizon, it's actually a mollusk-dominated horizon. So you could look at the relationships of the Edrios on the clams, mostly Ammoniki, I think, and test to see, based on lifestyle of the clams, some of your hypotheses about position.
So do you have this material at Geyer?
Yeah, we got to a Geyer, and of course there is the
Blocks.
the box
The box.
that covers up the pavement, the in-situ pavement. It covers up the Edrio pavement out there. And if you look at the edge of the box, you can go and you can find 5, 6 Edrios right there on clams. So
But you'd have to clean what's under the box.
Yeah,
Would actually have to be cleaned
it's been
to
cooked up
see
for a
them,
while, but
but it's a thesis. Hey, it's a thesis project.
it's ready to go. It's right there.
They're actually, that's a lot of single valves.
Yeah, single valve, so they're dead ones.
Just laying there in the mud, meteors came along. And the conduits that are there, the only things they're on is a little tiny cluster of the zygotes. They're not up on the things at all. The worm tubes are on only little tiny zygospire, and most of them are in a cluster.
Any other questions?
But I was just gonna say that, what you're saying about the larvae is, it's consistent with what we know about living echinoderm larvae, that they float around or swim to various degrees, and they settle, and they're known to be very particular about where they settle. Some starfish larvae, if they don't settle on the right thing, like some are specific to a worm tube that they're going to eat when they mature. And if they don't settle on the tube of that worm when they're larvae, they get up and go, as you said, and they can stay in the plankton for long periods of time.
Dave, do these,
And then they can
do the larvae